Yes, welcome, public relations N6 students. I wanna congratulate you and thank you so much for the milestone that you have worked so far. N6, I know that that is an achievement you have acquired through dedication, investment of your time, your money, everything. I wish you all the best in everything that you are going to go through from now. I welcome you to Metric Hub. It's an educational channel which is actually set for grade 8 to 12 in high school and also all netted. Just connect brothers, sisters, sons and daughters and siblings. Let them connect to Metric Hub. It is the best channel where education has been simplified. We are offering a virtual class to all these levels that I've mentioned. Please just share, let them subscribe, let them connect so that their educational journey is made easier and simplified. So today, without wasting any time, we are going to work on public relations N6. As you can see, this is a November examination cycle paper. So without wasting any time, I want you to note that our question paper is going to be worked on right now, and we are going to interrogate it as fast as possible to save time. So without wasting any time, I want you to note that instructions are very important when you go to exams. You people, you are so smart. You have managed to do it so many times. So let's just go straight to the paper. Question one, we are given multiple choice questions, which we are supposed to choose the best answer from the possible answers that are given. I want you to note that these answers are more or less correct, but there is the most suitable one. So question 1.1 reads, this involves a wide range of products or services from different industries on display to the general public. So product range is quite high or it's quite big, as well as services from different industries that are put on display for people to note and also to choose. So what is happening is that you need to understand that this is called a consumer shows. Consumer shows involves displaying and sharing of a wide range of products or services which are coming from multiple industries or diverse industries so that people can see. So that is why you see C is marked here. And then short for a web-based online seminar. It means an over-internet seminar, which is through presentation or workshop transmitted over the net using a video conferencing software. I'm sure that you have heard of what we call a webinar. A webinar is actually hosted through the internet, which is an online presentation or an online workshop. The presenters are able to share their screens, they are able to share their information, they are able to share their notes and handouts on the what on their screens, which all people connected can be so many of them. So what you need to know is that it is called a webinar. So I've seen it quite a lot of times. Like recently, the Department of Higher Education and Training has been hosting a webinar on phasing out of netted programs or the transitioning of netted programs, which quite a lot of students, stakeholders, and many other interested corporate organizations and private companies were connected. So it's called a webinar. A webinar is done in that regard. And then a process to gather information about the public relations activities of an organization in an objective and systematic manner. To say the reason for gathering the information is predetermined and preset, which is run through a methodology that is set in place again in order to evaluate its effectivity. We call that public relations research. Public relations activities are we are saying information is gathered through research. So we call that public relations research. It's called public relations research, which is, you see the marked answer there, which is A. And then the research that gathers information to gather an in-depth understanding of human behavior, research intended to gather information to gain a proper understanding of human behavior, which is based or also which that behavior is opinion and motives or interest. We call that qualitative research. Qualitative research is used as a method of gathering information uh, with the intention of gathering, understanding human behavior, opinion, and it is called qualitative research. A process of seeking financial support for a cause. Financial support for a cause. We are saying a cause, we call that a purpose. It's called a purpose. It's called a purpose. That cause, we call that a purpose. The financial support for a purpose or for a specific reason and or non-profit organization that we call also fundraising. I'm sure you have seen fundraising which are done when organizations, they can be non-profit organizations, this can be also even what form of corporate institution it can be, but when a specific purpose is set, in order for that purpose to be accomplished, fundraising is done, financial support is done, where products may be sold, and their pricing or selling prices of those products and services that are being offered. Usually, they are not relatively market sensible. They are just prices that are set for specific purposes of fundraising, which you find out that the prices usually are abnormally higher than the normal prices which the market is usually or is actually selling those products at. So we want to go to question next. The arrangement of a letter font to make written text legible and readable. We call that it is called topography. Topography is actually what is the arrangement of text letter font to make written text legible and readable is called topography. I want you to look at this, and then I'm going to show you these other forms of reprography. So now what I want you to understand is that topography is actually the best one, which is according to question number 6, letters, letter type and font to make written text legible. So I want us to look at that, which you should see that it's actually a style and size of the letters used in printing. The style and size of letters that is used in printing, it is actually good topography, which can be used in terms of advertising and impacting the art, and then arranges these text or letters and numbers so that they can give a good impression. That is what you call topography. And then thermography is actually one of a printing technique again, in which a wet ink image is fused by heat or infrared radiation with a Renoise powder to produce a raised impression. So in this regard of demography, it has to do with it is through wet ink image, which is fused by heat. Heat is used in demography, and then uh, lithography. Lithography is also one other form of printing, which I want you to understand that it is usually done from a flat surface treated so as to repel the ink except where it is required for printing. So the ink is actually repelled, and then it can only fall on, or it can only be retained on surfaces or where it is actually required for printing. That is lithography. Uh, that is lithography. Uh, it is usually used in what it is usually making. It is usually used in making printed circuits. Usually used in making printed circuits. And then the last one, which is photograture. It is actually also another form in which various processes based on photograph are used, by which engraving is formed on a metal plate. Engraving is formed on a metal plate. So in these methods of printing methods, the best one which is used in terms of arrangement of letters and also ensuring that the text looks good and for advertising purposes is typography. And then strategic communication process that establishes relations and creates goodwill between an organization. It creates goodwill between an organization and its stakeholders and other communication media. So if you look at this, it actually has to be understood that it has to do with public relations. I have given the definition of public relations in the previous in the previous point that I've actually in the initial point that I've alluded to there, that when you talk about public relations, public relations is one of the key, is one of those areas of concern that I want you to understand, that it is strategic management of information in order to build and maintain a positive public image for an organization or company. It actually has to be involving uh, creating and disseminating information to the public to influence their perception and actually foster a mutual and fostering a mutual beneficial relationships. So key aspects of it, like I've said before, it focuses on information management. It has to do with building relationships. It has to do with image and reputation, strategic communication, which actually requires careful planning and execution of to achieve these objectives. And otherwise, we cannot also override crisis management, which also one of the crucial roles in strategic management, whereby responses or plans have to be developed to address negative events and minimize damage towards an organization's reputation. So I want you to understand that number 7 is what? It's public relations. It is public relations. And then the focus on a relevant topic, focus on relevant topics for certain professions or technical occupations, such as architects. We talk about doctors, lawyers, accountants, or business people. So relevant topic for them or for those professions, we need to talk about that as professional magazines or technical magazine. It is a technical or a professional magazine. It addresses and gives topics and information on technical occupations, which is what? Which is a professional magazine, identifies and explains information, displays information, topics on technical occupations, which are as those ones given in example here. Publication on topics relating to an organization that is distributed on a set time schedule. Publication on topics relating to an organization that is distributed on a set time schedule. It is actually a newsletter. A newsletter actually it is given, or it is it's a publication related to an organization that is distributed on a set time schedule. There is a predetermined time schedule that has to be put in on hold with regards or with towards control of when the publication can be released. And then an electronic visual press release that consists of a 30 to 90-second news flash about a specific company, news with information or event. It is also defined as a what? VNC, video news clip. Video news clip, it actually, video news clip is actually a visual press release that consists of such time 30 to 90-second news flash about a specific company, newsworthy information or event. We're just gonna go to the next question, which we need to give letters that are matching with the descriptions that are given here. We have got the use of cinemas, videos, and the live shows. Use of cinemas, videos, and the live shows. We call that it is actually number 1.2.1. This is called information objective. Information objective, which is D. It is actually use of cinemas, videos, and live shows. The organization's creation of public awareness about its sports sponsorship of a PSL soccer. You can call that it is called objective advertising or advertising objective, which is a creation of public awareness of its sports sponsorship of Premier Soccer League soccer team. We call that what it is called. It is called advertising objective. And then the Department of Health aims to educate the public about its COVID-19 prevention, and certain TV channels, radio stations, and pamphlets are used to achieve their communication objectives. The communication objectives, which are published in order to educate the public, this is called an educational objective. It's called an educational objective, which also can be defined by what? By C. It's called an educational objective. An educational objective, it aims to educate the public about some specific information, which is also, and it is found on certain TV channels, radio stations are used to achieve such a communication objective. We call that educational objective. And then we have got question 4, 1.24. If large retailers such as Pick n Pay display their products, they can use national newspaper. That we can also define that as public objective. When newspapers are used by large retailer shops to display their product, which they can use national newspapers, we call that a public objective. It is public objective. It is public objectives. And then if PRISA wants its members to know about upcoming events, it wants its members to know about its upcoming events. We talk about that has to do with entertainment objectives. Entertainment objectives. When members are intended to know about upcoming events, we talk about, for example, PRISA, that is called what we call entertainment objectives. Entertainment objective, that can be called entertainment objectives. And then it is a single page folded one or more times with information printed on one or both sides. It can be called a pamphlet. A pamphlet can be a single page, or it can be more pages, that a single page which is folded once or many times, which has got information printed on one or both sides. We call that a pamphlet, which are normally given, if you can see, during January, December, schools, they give pamphlets in order to market and promote their schools. We call that what? It is called a pamphlet. It's called a pamphlet. Printed and designed to be attracted to a wall or vertical surface. It is printed and designed to be attracted to a wall or a vertical surface, that is a poster. A poster is printed and designed so that it can be attracted to a wall or a vertical surface. It's called a what? It's called a poster. That is called a poster. And then news of a social and personal nature. Use of a social or personal nature, we call that social news. That is personal or social nature is called social news. That is called social news, which is also J, social news. And then communication technology used to reach mass audiences. Communication technology used to reach communication technology used to reach mass audience. We call that it's called mass media. Mass media is used to reach mass audience, to reach a lot of people. Mass media, it is mass media communication technology used to reach a mass audience. It's called mass media. Mass media, which is later G. Mass media, number 9, it is mass media. That is called mass media. And then a publication in print or electronic format produced for internal and external stakeholders about the organizational news. It is produced for internal and external stakeholders about organizational news. We call that a newsletter. It is also called a newsletter. A newsletter is actually a publication. A newsletter, which is H. A newsletter is a publication in print or electronic format produced for internal and external stakeholders about the organizational news. So as a college, we can provide a newsletter that is actually going out at a specific predetermined schedule, which gives our stakeholders information about the organization achievements and upcoming and whatever events that are going on. So that publication number 10 is called a newsletter. Number 2.10. And then we want to work on this one, which is given as the public relations practitioner should be able to manage basic research objectives, such as obtaining the views of staff members, communicating methods, and public relations events. So question 1.3, it wants us to, question 1.3, it wants us to describe 3 objectives or overall purpose of public relations research. Objectives of public relations research, that is the question. Objectives of public relations research. Let me just create points where I can write 1.3 objectives of public relations research. Objectives of public relations objectives of public relations research. These objectives, we want to look at them and explain them under these ones. 1, public relations research. The objective is based on one of the most important one is saving cost. Saving cost. So public relations research has to be done to identify best ways of doing business or doing operations, which can also reduce operational costs. So we are talking about saving costs as one of the advantages of this of our public relations research. It can also to identifying problem areas. Public relations research is done in order to identify problems, identification or identifying problem areas, identifying problem areas. Problem areas must be found through public relations research. So areas which can cause or which can harm the organization can be identified and minimized or avoided. So what we mean to understand is that public relations research exists in order to identify problem areas so that they can be taken or they can be avoided within an organizational operation or along organizational operations. And then it can also be establishing two-way communication, establishing two-way communication, establishing a two-way communication. In terms of two-way communication, we are talking about the communication which the organization must present to its stakeholders and also understanding what the stakeholders are expecting from the organization. So what we are saying is that this is done in order to understand how effective an organization is reaching and meeting its objectives. So two-way communication is very important for evaluation purposes of any organization. It can also be done for being aware of current social responsibility issues and needs. The organization might need to know establishing for an organization to be aware of current social responsibility, aware of current social responsibility, current responsibility, issues and needs. Issues and needs. So what we need to understand is that public relations research, it has to ensure and follow up on the social responsibility issues of an organization. How far is the organization fulfilling its existence within a certain area? What are the outstanding issues there, and what are the gaps that needs to also to be to be maintained or to be filled up? So it is actually done through public relations research. We can also do it in order to determine attitude and opinions or obtain data. It can also be done to determine public relations research can be done to determine opinions of people. Opinions. You can also talk about opinion or attitude and also or obtain data. An organization can also do public relations research in order to determine opinions of its people or of its service market. That can also be done in order to identify or obtain data. Information can be obtained through public relations research. So that is one other important point that we need to understand, that public relations research is done for purposes such as those. It is done for purposes such as some of those which I've given there. It can also, for certain reasons, be done to establish credibility at top management level. to say how top management level is being effective in reaching and meeting the corporate vision and expectations of the organization. So we are talking about evaluation of top management can be done as can also be a reason for public relations research. We can just go to the next question. The next question is saying, discuss the 5 reasons for or advantages of public relations research. Advantages for public relations research. Advantages for public relations research. That is 1.32. Advantages of public relations research. Advantages of public relations research. 1.3.2. Advantages of public relations research. Public relations research. What are the advantages of public relations research? One, as I've mentioned there, it can actually want to save costs, to save costs. These are as efficient communication media can be eliminated. Inefficient communication through elimination of inefficient communication media. Inefficient communication media. So all those communication media that are inefficient, they can be dealt with or they can be eliminated. So public relations research can be done or can be advantageous in order to eliminate inefficient communication media. It can also one of the other advantage is knowledge is obtained through research, which can also help the public relations practitioner to alter objectives and preferences in public relations programs. So we are saying advantages that knowledge obtained through research can help the public relations practitioner. This can help the public relations practitioner. Information obtained can help public relations practitioner. It can to alter objectives, to change objectives, and preferences in public relations programs. Objectives and preferences in public relations programs. In public relations programs. So through public relations research, information that is obtained there can help the practitioner to change objectives and preferences in public relations programs, which can also be helping the organization to maintain and keep its reputation. That can be a good advantage. We can also talk about it may also have we can also save money which will not be spent on projects that do not address the needs of the target groups. Cost saving. Money can be saved. Money can be saved by not spending on projects, not spending spending on projects which actually that which not do which does not address the needs of the target groups, which do not address needs of target groups. The needs of target groups can actually be spent on those which do not match the needs of the target groups. Projects such as those can actually be avoided. So we save money. Money can be saved because of public relations research, and then we can maybe lastly talk about to do with it can indicate if existing PR activities succeed in conveying the intended messages. So it can be used in terms of evaluation of the PR activities. PR activities can be evaluated in terms of their effectiveness. In terms of their effectiveness. So effectiveness of PR activities can also be evaluated throughout public relations research. And then it can also help to identify problem areas and shortcomings in time. Problem areas can be identified. Problem areas can be identified. They can be identified. Problem areas can be identified and shortcomings in the future. And any other future shortcomings that can also be advantages that I can give among others that we can actually identify. We can actually say that among other advantages, these are the main ones that I can give you with regards to advantages of public relations research. And then we have got question 1.4. 1.4, it says an organization can experience a crisis such as fire, accident, explosions, or a product withdrawal at any time. The way in which a crisis is handled will influence the public's perception and the image of the organization. That is true. State two types of crisis that can happen. State two types of crisis that can happen. We can talk about crisis in this case. Crisis that can happen in this case. We can talk about problems such as we can talk about environmental crisis. We can have environmental as a problem that can actually be one of the serious problems that organization has to face. We can talk about technological. We can also maybe talk about financial mismanagement. financial mismanagement of financing. We can also maybe talk about other problems to do with negligence. These are some of the problems or crises that we can talk about, types of crises that can happen. We talk about technological, environmental, financial mismanagement. We can talk about workplace. We can talk about consumers. Consumers can also be part of this consumer crisis, where customers are toying and fighting about a certain product. That can also be some of the problems. Let's go to 1.42. 1.42. 1.42. Characteristics of a crisis or a disaster. One characteristics of a crisis or a disaster. 1.42. Characteristics of a crisis or a disaster. The characteristics of a crisis or a disaster. This can be, we can give this one. We can say that it may trigger feelings of fear and threat among affected groups, may cause feelings of fear. It can also cause feelings of fear and threat among affected groups. Fear or threat among affected persons or affected groups. That can be a characteristic of a disaster. People who are affected can have their feelings of fear can be stimulated or can be triggered. We can also say that there is usually a limited time to make decisions about how to resolve a crisis. Usually suffers from inadequate time to make decisions about how to resolve the crisis. Inadequate time to make decision on how to resolve when we have got a disaster. Time is not always available. There is always a limited time, or we suffer time inadequacy in decision making on how to resolve the crisis. That is one other characteristic that we need to take note about, because people sometimes have not or are not effectively prepared. So in how to solve the crisis, there is always some problems that would arise, time problems, and then it usually evokes significant attention from the media. Crisis usually evokes attention from media. People would want to know, news want to come and publish. Media, it can be stakeholders. It can be stakeholders and customers. Customers also, we are saying it evokes attention from media, stakeholders and customers. They actually have problems, or we are saying it causes the media to like to follow on that. It may also involve physical and other danger, which should be prioritized. It involves physical or other danger that needs to be prioritized. That needs to be prioritized. So the problems that are there, dangers that are there, they need to be prioritized because they can have a serious impact. So we are saying that it involves physical or other danger that needs to be prioritized in order to get rid of the crisis. It will demand the attention and action of management and also many power. It demands attention. It demands attention and action of management. Action of management. Action of management and manpower. And more financial resources, as well as financial resources, as well as financial support. In terms of crisis, management must take action. It actually needs manpower. It also needs financial support when crises do happen, such is needed. It also, uh, it actually also, uh, it also have impact on the reputation of the business. May also have impact on business reputation. It can also have impact on business reputation. That can also be another problem or another characteristic that we can mention. Many other problems we can actually put them. We can actually put as many as possible, but for the reasons of time, we can basically just among others list these ones to say that these are some of the characteristics of a crisis that we can have to take note, or that we need to take note of. And then question number 1.5, mention two common examples of mass media platform. Two common examples of mass media platforms. These ones, we are talking about the reaching to many people as possible. We can talk about radio. We have radio. We have got magazines. We can talk about television, magazines, TVs. We can also talk about television, radios, magazines, newspapers, and digital media. Newspapers and digital media. These are just basic examples that we can give when you go through the radio, a radio can be listened by as many people as possible. Magazines, people can share them, people can read them across countries and everywhere. Television channels can be listened across the country and internationally. So what we are saying is these are mass media platforms that we can give as examples in this respect. Question two. Question two, it talks about study the corporate social responsibility or corporate social investment scenario below and answer the questions that are there. A great way to improve your corporate reputation is by participating in corporate social responsibility initiatives and volunteer programs. CSR ensures that companies conduct business ethically and responsibly. This means that you need to consider the impact of business operations on society, including things like your company's carbon footprint. You are talking about total carbon gases that are emitted by a company. Carbon gases. You are talking about carbon gases. This has to do with air pollution, and then environmental, which affect the environment. We talk about your company's impact on South African economy, human rights, and the promotion of positive change that is addressing cultural and social issues. So the first question is saying, what is corporate social responsibility? Corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility, we can give it as to say that it actually relates to responsible business conduct and actions that consider ethical standards, legal and compliance, and respect for the environment and stakeholders who are affected by the business operations that we can call corporate social responsibility. So it refers to responsible business conduct, responsible business conduct, responsible business conduct, and actions that consider ethical standards, conduct and actions that considers ethical standards, is to say acceptable ethical standards, that considers ethical standards, legal compliance, is to say in terms of the law, legal compliance. It has to do with legal compliance and respect for the environment and stakeholders, and respect of the environment and stakeholders. So when you look at this, corporate social responsibility, it has to do with the responsiveness of business, the conduct and actions, considering the ethical standards and legal compliance that the business is reaching, and respect of the of the environment and stakeholders, which we are talking about the people who are affected by the operations of of the business. We call that corporate social responsibility. The business being corporate is to say that it is it is putting understanding of its environmental issues. How also is it affecting its stakeholders, which we need to understand that business operations, how are they affecting people in their surrounding or within the vicinity of the business? We call that corporate social responsibility. And why is it so important for businesses to include CSR as part of their brand strategy? Question number 2.1, 2.2.1, 2.1.2, the importance of why businesses must include CSR as part of their brand strategy. Advantages of CSR as part of brand strategy, as part of brand strategy for businesses. As part of brand strategies for what? For businesses. So we are saying CSR as part of brand strategy for businesses. As part of brand strategies for business. Brand strategy for business. Why CSR is important as brand strategy for business. Brand, just want to make it readable here. Brand strategy for businesses. So one, we need to look about that. It actually ensures that business is taking a deep dive into the business operations of corporate citizenship and how it contributes to building what? Bright future for South Africa. We are saying building a bright future for South Africa. It gives a business a mandate into its operations, that is operations of corporate citizenship, which we need to understand that and how it contributes to building a bright future for what? For South Africa, and how it contributes in building a bright future for South Africa. So CSR, as part of brand strategy, it gives business a mandate, a deep insight into its operations of corporate citizenship and how it contributes in building a bright future for South Africa. As we said, that the business is actually is very observant of its operations, how they are affecting and impacting on what? On citizens. So we can go to question 2.13. 2.13, it says state 5 areas of corporate social responsibility which companies may focus on. Areas of corporate social responsibility. Areas of corporate social responsibility. So I want us to look at these areas of corporate social responsibility. These can include business can focus on education, providing education to underprivileged, giving sponsorship. We can say businesses can give sponsorships. They can also focus on sports investment. If sport investments, that can also be part of that corporate social responsibility, where we can talk about the Premier Soccer Leagues. We can talk about community needs. This can also be in community. community needs, we say that CSR can work to identify the needs of the community in which the business is operating. We can also look into issues to do with socio-economic aid. Socio-economic aid. We can also look into entrepreneurship, developing business people within the community. Entrepreneurship can also be part of that. We can also maybe finally look into company employee responsibilities. Which can also be part of what we are discussing now. So areas of corporate social responsibility can be, among others, these areas of investment which businesses can focus on. They can focus on these as examples of corporate social responsibility that companies can work on. And then we want to look at corporate social investment. What is corporate social investment? Corporate social investment. Actually, we can maybe, let me just put it here. Corporate social investment is part of overall CSR strategy. Is part of overall CSR strategy. Part of overall CSR strategy, and it also looks into financial and non-financial contributions, considering financial or non-financial contributions. So as you can look at this, we are saying financial and non-financial contributions and upliftment programs organized for stakeholders, and upliftment programs that are organized, upliftment programs are organized for stakeholders. These are organized for stakeholders, is to say people who are directly or indirectly affected by the operations of the business. We can give them as those. And then we want to look at, describe the advantages of corporate social investment programs which companies such as Vodacom can benefit. Advantages of corporate social investment. Advantages of corporate social investment. Advantages of corporate social investment. Corporate social investment, advantages of corporate social investment. I want us to look at this. One, we can talk about supporting marketing objectives and improving brand awareness. It supports It actually supports marketing objectives. Supporting marketing objectives and increasing brand awareness and customer loyalty. Customer loyalty is earned because of what? Because of corporate social investment. It also works to allow and promote marketing and our brand awareness, as customers can become aware of what the business or the organization is offering. It also promote employee satisfaction and improve productivity. It promotes employee satisfaction. It helps to promote employee satisfaction and productivity. Employees can work very hard because of what? They can work very hard as a result of CSR. I mean CSI. Its CSI can enable employees to be very committed and hardworking, improving their output within an organization. And then it enhances credibility and reputation of the organization, enhances credibility. It enhances credibility and reputation of the organization, credibility and reputation of the organization. The reputation and credibility of the organization can be promoted or can be made better. It increases corporate brand awareness, which can also promote financial business growth. Increases corporate brand awareness, corporate brand awareness that can promote financial growth, promoting financial growth as advantages of what of CSR. Maybe last but not least, we can talk about generating a positive publicity. It generates a positive publicity for the business. Positive publicity for the business. So what happens is that it happens like that because you can see that media, it is because of media interest in ethical business activities. Media would always want to be involved, hence publicity is easily created, and it supports PR activities and building public relations and goodwill with stakeholders such as communities. Goodwill is maintained. Goodwill with communities is built and maintained. Is built and maintained is another advantage of CSR. So we can just say amongst other advantages, these can be some of the advantages that we can give in terms of CSR, advantages of CSR. And then you want to look at define event sponsorship. Event sponsorship, it refers to when an organization sponsors a certain event such as a concert or a sports competition. When an organization sponsors it sponsors a certain event, it can sponsor a certain event such as a concert, e.g. concert, we can say that is event sponsorship. That is event sponsorship. And then name two types of event sponsorship that we can talk about. Two types of event sponsorship. That we can talk about. Two types of event sponsorship. We can talk about professional awards. I think you have seen, such as we talk about some merit awards that are given to us as professionals and celebrities we can give that as an example. We can also talk about art and culture. Art and culture can also be an example in that case. And then the next question is saying differentiate between sponsorship and donation. Sponsorship and donation. What is the difference between sponsorship and donation? Difference between sponsorship and donation. Difference between sponsorship and donation. So if we look at these two terms, they're sometimes confusing, but we need to understand that sponsorship involves providing financial or material contribution to a sponsored party with the expectation of publicity. Sponsorship it actually focuses on providing financial or material contribution, providing financial or material contribution, which we are saying these material contributions to a sponsored party with expectations of publicity. To sponsored party with intentions of publicity. With intentions of publicity, that can be, we call a sponsorship. And then donation, it's actually a financial or material support given to parties without expecting anything in return. So we are saying whilst donation is financial or material support, is financial or material support given to parties without anything in return, without expecting anything. Support given to parties without expecting anything in return, without expecting anything in return, without expecting anything in return. So what you can see is that with a sponsorship, one party or the donor, the sponsor is actually providing financial support or a donation or contribution with intentions of publicity, whereas donations, it can be material or financial support given to parties with no expectations or anything in return. There is no expectations or anything in return that we can call that sponsorship. Donation, sorry. So we can look at the next question. Describe 5 public relations and corporate objectives you think the sponsors wish to achieve. In this case, uh, 5 objectives, 5 public relations and corporate objectives you think sponsors wish to achieve. They wish to achieve in regard to the above statements. We can actually see that the expectations or the corporate objectives that we can think that 2.35, 2.3.4, we see that this is usually done expectations. Expectations, this has to do with one, brand awareness. What they are doing there is order to increase brand awareness. We can talk about brand awareness. That is the reason, one of the expectations of this program. It also generates media publicity, generation of media publicity, generation of media publicity. We can also talk about generation of business contracts, generation of new business contracts, generation of new business contracts. We can also talk about improving community relations, improving community relations. Community relations is also improved because of events such as these that we are talking about. Publicity through media, brand awareness, new business contracts. They are all good examples that we can give in regard to that. And then our next question. Our next question is saying fundraising is a specialized task that require specialized knowledge and skills. Fundraising, we have been talking about it since. Stage 7, common myths and assumptions about fundraising. 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 You need to understand that assumptions, myths, and assumptions about fundraising, these are to do with, it has to do with fundraising is begging. That is one of the myths. Fundraising is begging. People, they take it as begging. Fundraising is begging is one of the myths and assumption. Fundraising is begging is one of the myths there. We can also talk about one other assumption or a myth that we need to talk about again is that fundraising should be low cost or no cost. Fundraising should be low cost or no cost. Should be low or no cost. Is some of the assumptions that are there. And then 3, fundraising has reached a saturation point. Fundraising has reached a saturation point. It has reached a saturation. Fundraising has reached a saturation point. Fundraising has reached a saturation point, as to say it has reached its maximum. And then you can ask a donor too often is another assumption. Can ask a donor too often. A donor can be asked too often, and then you can't get someone fundraising is just another business. Fundraising is another business. It's another business. That is also another assumption that we can give. Fundraising is another business. And then we can also have that fundraising. I mean, everyone will give 50 rand at fundraising. Everyone can give 50 rand. Fundraising, everyone must give. Everyone must give 50 rand. When we talk about fundraising, everyone must give 50 rand. And then maybe lastly, I can say again that one other last point is that, but I give my time in fundraising. Assumption. But I give my time. But I give my time is also taken as another assumption in fundraising. And then we can also talk about question 2.5. 2.5 is saying the increasing shortage of competent fundraisers in South Africa leaves many non-profit organizations struggling to sustain themselves. Discuss 5 tips to overcome the fear of asking. 5 tips to overcome the fear of asking is in terms of shortage of competent fundraisers in South Africa leaves many non-profit organizations struggling to sustain themselves. Discuss 5 tips to overcome the fear of asking. Tips to overcome the fear of asking. Tips to overcome fear of asking. Tips to overcome fear of asking. What are those tips that we can give to overcome fear of asking? One, we can talk about professionalism. 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 This has to do with people being professional in their contact and communication, even if proposal is rejected. No matter that the proposal is rejected, people must remain professional in their in their position, irrespective of the conditions that are taking place. We can also talk about pride. Pride, with regards to pride, people must be proud of the cause you represent. Be proud of the reason of what you are doing, and also sell the idea of how of how it can benefit people around the world. Just being confident, be proud of the cause of the presentation, and you need to sell the idea of how it can also benefit people around. We talk about preparation. Preparation. This actually has to do with convey facts and benefits to the donors and be sure of what is needed and when is it needed. Therefore, we are saying correct information must be given to the donors. It must be given to the donors, and then you need to be sure of what is actually needed and when also that is needed. That is also in terms of making a thorough preparation. And then we can also maybe look at persistence. Persistence, it has to do with avoiding arguing or be defensive. Ask the donor when the time is what is right for a contribution. Don't argue or don't be defensive. You basically need to ask the donor when the time is what is right for a contribution, and the first time may not always be the right time. So you need to send a thank you note if the response was negative. The response was not achieved or was not supported is negative, but you need to send what? A thank you. That is persistence, avoiding arguing, and also defensiveness. You always need to be polite and always ask the donor the best time that they can make a contribution. If ever they can do so. And then we can also talk about punctuality. Punctuality. Punctuality, it has to be punctual in terms for meetings with donors. As a fundraiser, you need to be punctual for meetings and appointments with donors, which shows that one has got respect for time of what of those people that you are to meet. And then lastly, we can talk about positive attitude. Positive attitude. Positive attitude. This has to be, I mean, as a fundraiser, you need to be positive. and do not give up very fast, as it takes patience to persuade donors in order for them to give. So in order to avoid or tips to overcome fear, we are saying positive attitude must be maintained, avoiding giving up so quickly. And also we are saying you need to keep patience, take patience and keep persuading the donors in order for them to give. That is what happens in terms of these kind of questions that we are talking about. Tips of to overcome fear of asking when it comes to donations, fundraisers. You need to be professional. You need to have preparation for your work. You need to have persistency, punctuality, and positive attitude. These are some of the attributes that are very important as it regards to that. We want to go to question 3. Question 3. Question 3. Question 3, we need just to look at it and see what is it that they want us to. I'm just gonna, for these questions, I'm gonna just quickly just give you the some of the tips, and then I might leave it there, but I will show you the questions for continuous revision and engagement. So we are given that Moshet communication scenario below and answer these questions. The PRP of Moshet Media organized the Sentinel celebrations around the existence of Rand West local municipality. The objective was to involve the community around town to project a positive image of the Rand West municipality. So we are given the Moshet Communications. Who are we? We are PR and strategic business communication agency that specializes in brand communications and events management. We offer a 360-degree approach on integrated communication and management services, specializing in media relations, stakeholder engagement, exhibitions, and events. We aim to bring our clients closer to their respective audience and manage their brand reputation with creative and actionable strategies. So the question is saying, the first question is saying, what is the situation? Define the situation in the scenario. It is actually, if you look into it, the situation is actually was actually for the centennial celebration around the existence of Rand West local municipality. I think you have seen there. It has to do with centennial celebrations around existence of Rand West local municipality. It is given there, it is given here. So we just want to know that that is the situation. It is actually was the centennial celebrations. The centennial celebrations. Centennial celebrations around the existence. It is around the existence of Rand West local municipality. Existence of Rand West local municipality. Rand West local municipality, that is it. And describe the objectives of the event. the objectives of the event. It is given that the objectives they are given there. It has to do with obtain publicity, obtain publicity. Their other objective has to do with creating awareness. It has to do with creating awareness, create awareness to involve the communities, have community participation. Community participation. Community participation. We can also talk about create positive image. Create positive image. We have got many other images that are here. We aim to bring our clients closer to their respective audience, their brand reputation, creative and actionable strategies. So brand fundraising, promote corporate identity, create a positive image, also and awareness. All these are some of the objectives that we can see around our essays here. They are given that they are given all of these. They are in the essay provided here. And then what was the theme of the event? The theme of the event, basically, as you can see, we also see that it was centennial celebrations around existence of the town. We are saying centennial about the existence of the town, celebrations about existence of the town, about existence of the town, and then it is important from a PR perspective to identify specific target groups for events to ensure that the communication and community activities are aimed at the right people who have an interest in Rand West municipality. So the question here is that identify one internal and one external target group. One internal and one external target group. Internal, we are saying one internal target group. We can see that we are saying to identify specific target for events to ensure that communication and effect are aimed at the right people who have interest in Rand West municipality. So internal target, this can be employees. The employees can be the internal target group. The internal, we can say about the employees, and then external, this can actually look at, in terms of external, we can talk about community members. This can be community members. It can be, we can also talk about local media. Local media can also fit in there. We can also talk about suppliers. We can talk about suppliers. We can talk about Rand West ratepayers. Ratepayers. ratepayers, because we are talking about the municipality here, the ratepayers can also be their target. We can also talk about the residents of the neighboring cities can also be part of that. So question 3.22, it says name 5 types of special events. Types of special events. We can talk about special events here. Types of special events. We can talk about trade shows. Trade shows are examples of trade shows are an example of special event. We can talk about seminars. Seminars can be special events. We can talk about special awards. Special awards can also be there. Special awards. We can also look at outdoor concerts. Outdoor concerts. We can have outdoor concerts. We can talk about block party. We can talk about exhibitions. There are also 2 examples of what? Of special events. And then discuss the venue selection criteria before making a choice. Venue selection criteria, it must be quite a lot of factors. One, we can talk about the type of a venue should suit the objective of the event. Type of venue must suit the objective of the event. Suitability for type of event. Suitability to type of event. We can say that we need to understand that it can be conference or it can be a training workshop. So the venue must suit the type, the objective. Suitability for type of object of event must be considered. The location should be reasonable distance from airport and easily accessible. Is accessibility of the location. Is accessibility of location. Is accessibility of the location in various modes of transport. We also talk about facilities should accommodate access for disabled people. Facilities must accommodate disabled people. Must accommodate disabled individuals. Disabled individuals must be able to get or use the facilities. In terms of choice of the venue, we also need to look into account in terms of seating should be suitable for the needs of the event. Seating plan. Seating plan. Seating plan must match. It must match the needs. It must match the what? It must match the purpose of the event. Seating plan must match the purpose of the event. And then we also talk about maybe things to do with the size of the venue should be suitable to accommodate the required number of attendees. Size of the venue. Size of the venue. Size of the venue to accommodate the required number of people. Size of the venue to accommodate required people. Size of the venue to accommodate required persons. And then we can also maybe look at issues to do with suitable catering and beverage facilities should be available per requirements. Those are some of the things. And then state 2 types of seating layouts. Seating layouts, sitting layouts, we can talk about one classroom. We can have a classroom sitting layout. We can have a U-shape. We can have a U-shape. We can have also a boardroom. It's a sitting layout. And also maybe we can have also an auditorium or a cinema. We can have a cinema or a theater. A sitting layout. Types of sitting layout. These are types of sitting layout that we can have. And then types of exhibitions. Discuss types of exhibitions. Types of exhibitions. Types of exhibitions that we can give. Types of exhibitions, we can talk about quite a lot of them. These can be private exhibitions, public exhibitions. It can also be portable exhibitions, trade shows, and consumer exhibitions. These I've been giving them also from the beginning, that when you talk about portable exhibitions, they are designed and constructed in such a way that they can be taken apart and transported to various places. That is portable. I'm saying portable. They can be transported, portable exhibitions. They can be moved to different places. It may also be working models, panels, frames, and mini exhibitions, which may be displayed at conferences, libraries, schools. They can be window shows or other suitable places. These are portable. And then trade exhibitions. Trade shows. Trade shows actually they actually present a public opportunity for competitive organizations to exhibit. Competitive organizations can exhibit and then introduce and demonstrate their consumers, their consumer of or industrial products, processes or technology to target groups. Those ones are trade shows. And then we have got consumer shows. Consumer shows basically can focus on travel, career creation, computers, and various other interests. So these are consumer shows. They actually focus on travel, on career, recreation, computers, and other interests. I talked about mobile exhibitions, which can move from place to place via road, rail. It can be sea, even air. And then they've got options. The options range from buses, trains, and other floating what call exhibitions like trade ships, which we said public and private. In terms of private, these are usually held at an organization's own rented premises and reserved exclusively for invited guests. those are private. And then public, we can talk about Rand East. We can say these are, for example, the Rand Easter is specialized exhibitions and entertainment catering for specific and general target groups. These are various motor and motorcycle shows exhibiting new models, cars on the market to international dealers. They can be private or public. You say private. We have got also private, or we can also talk about what? About public. We are saying these are for specific invited guests. Specific invited guests can fall into this category. So I think what are the guidelines for staff contact when attending a stand? Staff contact when attending a stand. We can talk about staff contact when attending a stand. They need to smile, make eye contact, friendly to visitors. Visitors must feel welcome. We talk about give visitors undivided attention. They have to actually be accessible, mindful of body language, which is non-verbal communication, no sitting, eating, reading, texting while on duty, and also they should also always be presentable. When we are talking about number 4.3, 4.2.3, they need to be presentable. They need to be presentable. They need to be presentable. They need to smile. They need to be friendly. They need to feel visitors feel at home, be accessible. Be accessible. We can talk about not eating, not texting while on duty, no eating, texting, while on duty. So these are some of the points that we can give them as in terms of the guidelines of for staff contact when attending a stand. When you are at a show, how do you present yourself? You should be smart. You must always smile. You must be friendly. You must be accessible. Minding of the body language, non-verbal cues of communication, and also actually making a good eye contact and friendly communication with all the visitors. These are some of the points that we can give in this regard. So, class, I thank you so much for your time. But actually, for continuous revisions in SECI, I want you to look at these points, which you can see that these are some of the points which you can also need to take note of when it comes to these questions. Two factors consider for distribution of publication information points required by a printer. These are just take note of this point that I'm displaying here. I'm just giving them as scope, which you should also take note of when it comes to exams. Write 5 information that was required but not included in the advertisement. List and explain requirements for a good advertisement. 5 different copy style approaches. These questions I'm just giving them as a scope for you just to go and also work on them and continue to research and prepare yourselves as you go to this exam that we are writing just soon. Thank you very much for your time and all the best. keep on revising and recommending friends, family, children, sons and daughters to Matric Hub. Let them come and have everything simplified for them. We are readily available and you will never walk alone. We are there to support you. Let's keep it happening.